Hello, this is Hockey on Tap podcast, episode 104, Frozen Meat Pucks. I'm your host, Bill Dean, and we're back. We're here with our three co-hosts, Little Steve, Schwinn, and
gone.
Short Guy. Steve is gone. He already quit the show.
Hear your voice.
We're brought to you by Primetime Radio, courtesy of myself and Sam Wu. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Please leave us a 5-star if you'd be so kind. Boys, what are we drinking? I am so excited to be back. You have no idea. As you could tell in the last 2 weeks where I jumped the gun both times saying, are we back this week? Are we back this week? I couldn't remember. But we are officially
you could have came back and did it by yourself, but, you know.
I could have, yeah, but it would have been as much fun.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, what are we drinking, boys?
All right, I'll start first. I've had a mango crush and an IPA in reserve for 2 years until I got a new 6-pack. So I'm going to finally drink it tonight. So who the hell knows how it's going to be? But since I have new ones, I'm going to drink the old one.
Not bad.
Well done, Guy.
Yeah.
I have by Other Half Brewing Space Dream, which is a double dry hopped oat cream IPA. I'm excited for this one.
There you go.
Using non-dairy. See how easy it is?
I love it.
It's overflowing. Nice.
All right. Schwimmer?
I'm drinking Brett Bredesen for my birthday got me a Shebeen brewing beer that's a cannoli beer.
Cannoli.
And it's foaming out the top, as you can see.
Okay.
I remember my first beer.
Fitting.
Yep. So I'm going to let them know how it is. So far, it is pretty good.
Just let us know how
Foamy-ish.
greasy it is.
Oh, it's going to
it's
be
greasy.
actually greasy.
That's an automatic. That's an automatic very.
That's your big boy.
Degrees. All right, so I am going with a vegan beer from my buddy Steven as well. Fruitopolis. It is a passion fruit, raspberry, pineapple, double fruited imperial sour.
That's a lot.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Double passion fruit, double raspberry, double pineapple, and the pretty great artwork. So I like it. Oh, and this is by always keep cold. Modest Brewing. So this is one of those Minneapolis, Minnesota Tabor beers that I continually get that kind of was in the basement for a little longer than it needed to be, but it is what it is. All right, so hockey's back. We've been off for a little while. There was a bunch of news that obviously have happened since we did our draft show and the free agency preview shows. Jordan Kyrou gets a massive extension. It was forever to go. Jordan Kyrou gets that massive extension, 8 years, and what did he get? He was I just saw it.
It's like 8 times 8, something like that.
Yeah,
8.3
8 by 8. So him and
Yeah.
Tom and Robert Thomas, both 8-year deals. Sharks and Kane reached the agreement over the termination of the contract, and the retro jerseys. You had the Robo Penguin, which I'm sure Steve loves. That's back.
I do love it. Although it's not officially back. It's just rumored.
I thought it said. I thought it was official because it said Penguins reverse retro jerseys to feature a Robo Penguin logo. That was on Athletic.
Yeah, but they've been coming out in dribs and drabs, and there have been leaks pretty much consistently over the last month. And some teams are finally starting to reveal some stuff, and other teams are not. So we'll find out.
Okay. Yeah, because if they have another reverse retro, whatever, with that would be awesome. But they also have they're gonna have a Winter Classic jersey, which I heard was gonna go like way back to like Pittsburgh Pirates days. So,
cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Nothing's been officially announced. There's just been hearsay. But I'm excited for both. Although my wallet won't be excited to have to purchase both of them.
You gotta buy this.
Usually not fun. Yeah, that's always the worst. Is that you see all this great news and you're like, hockey's back. I need to get this jersey, and then you go to like the team website for the real jersey, and you're like, $200. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. And I never, I never loved the jersey, and yet I still have to buy it.
Yeah, no, it's
you know what bothered me too, like with this last when the Penguins had the black old school one that they had with the Pittsburgh down this. I waited to go. I might even said this in a previous episode. But I waited to go to Pittsburgh to buy it specifically because I didn't want to buy it online. And the shops, I guess, I don't know if it's league ground, but the shop only carries Authentic. And I'm like, well, you're here and you really want the jersey, so now you're forced to spend $250 or whatever the heck the Authentic is. But I literally, while I was in the shop, went on Fanatics and just ordered a jersey from there. Saved me $100.
I've become a little bit, I guess, snooty, and I kind of only at this point want, if I'm going to buy a jersey, I think I
real stuff.
generally want the Authentic.
Yeah,
I some of the I want to call them knockoffs, but the replicas there's some there are some things about them I just don't, I don't know, they look cheap, but that's me.
Yeah, they are for show.
Okay, so
All
right, so Kyrie extension Flyers. Each member of the Flyers got a handwritten letter. Well, it wasn't even really handwritten. It was John Tortorella handwrote a note for the entire team and then photocopied it and then sent it to everybody in the mail, basically saying that it was going to be a competitive training camp and they needed to be ready to skate their asses off. You have the Dustin Brown statue.
Say, I hate you all.
Yeah, pretty much. All. Yeah, you guys all suck. I hope they cut you.
He did a too soon joke after Queen Elizabeth died. Did you see that thing?
No. What did he do?
No.
He was like, I'm not saying anything here, but what the hell's his name? Not Konechny. The other guy that was on Columbus that went to the Flyers.
Atkinson.
He was like late to practice. He's like, I'm not saying that he did anything, but he was late to practice today.
Oh, jeez. Saying that he killed the Queen?
Just like the day of. He said something like that. I'm like, jeez.
Wow. Yeah, that's maybe a little too soon. Good job, Tortorella.
He's out of his mind.
Is there going to be a better
Here's the tail,
team to cover this year than the Flyers with Tortorella and the shithead
post-game.
Tony DeAngelo?
Whatever team he's on post-game, that's all you want to say. You don't want to actually watch
Larry Brooks. Someone needs to hire Larry Brooks.
Yeah, and
freelance Larry Brooks down to like the Philadelphia Inquirer or some beat Philly newspaper.
You would have him like thrown out immediately.
It would be fantastic.
What the hell are you doing here? Get this man out of here. You call security on him immediately.
It would be one of the more funny.
Oh my gosh, it would be great. It would be phenomenal. If I was an editor of a Philly newspaper or like just any kind of Philly sports outlet, I would contact Larry Brooks and be like, "Can we just hire you per diem, just to bother Tortorella?" Ask the most inane, dumb questions.
I'm sure the Philadelphia market has their fair share of horrible journalists that are going to entertain us too.
Asked to him, and he's going to give hilarious answers.
That should be a new that should be a new segment on our show.
We should have what did Tortorella post game?
Yeah. All right, Schwim, that is going to be your job for this podcast. You have to now
instead of closing the episode off with a stupid quote or whatever, I'll just find a Tortorella post game. Tortorella post game.
So all right. So speaking of you just spoke about the Frozen Meat Pucks title, and so apparently I was listening to some NHL news conferences, and one of the head of the media relations for the NHL came on, and he was trying to discuss what they're going to be doing for All-Star Week, especially they just had last year Vegas and all this pomp and circumstance that can kind of happen. So now this year it's going to be in Florida. And so they're so the guy was talking to Elliot Friedman and a couple other, and Jeff Merrick, and he was basically saying, what is something in Florida that you would, want to see and kind of think about when you think of Florida, and that could really make it cool. They were talking about the beach and how that would be something good. And then he's like, what else is synonymous with Florida? And he started trying to lure them into talking about the land and stuff. What kind of animal is synonymous with Florida? And what could you do with this animal to kind of integrate them into hockey? And he's like, alligators. So apparently they want to use alligators in the All-Star Weekend festivities, and they're going to possibly shoot frozen meat pucks at these alligators.
Oh my God.
And incorporated them into the NHL's festivities.
Do I have to?
No, you don't have to.
Do I have to?
Ready? Hold on, everyone. Go ahead.
It's amazing. This is the kind of
Do you see the fucking? And see, I just swore. I just swore on the podcast for
See what you did to
the first time.
Look what you did. Half our audience just tuned out because Steven said the F word now.
Yep.
Oh my god, that is so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't need to say anything until they actually decide that they're going to do it, but hopefully they won't, and they'll be smart about it. But
So
I'm not
this is
gonna
two
rely on
alligators
that.
on the ice, and people are gonna shoot meat at them.
I don't know how that's going to play out, but that's apparently what they possibly
What was that
want to
movie? Idiocracy or whatever the hell it's called.
do. Yeah, Idiocy.
Is that the movie?
Yeah.
Everyone in the future is
Idiocracy.
friggin' like 10 IQ moron. Like, is this what we're going to be tuning into? It's just like drooling with our mouths wide open, watching alligators eat hockey pucks.
I mean, I guess would it even be like the accuracy challenge? Like Austin Matthews has to shoot it into the alligator's mouth, and like that's the challenge.
I don't know. I can see this going horribly wrong, and then I would be happy. But
could you imagine if one of the alligators went after a player?
I don't know.
I mean, it would be fitting.
There's no way.
Fantastic.
There's no way they're going to do this. There's no way.
I mean, we'll see.
I just when
They would have
you were
animals
talking
like
about
people,
Florida.
like, all over. There's no way.
yeah.
When you were talking about all the Florida stuff, all I kept coming to my mind were all the Florida quotes from Slapshot.
Oh yeah, that'd be good too. All right. Speaking
Why
of
don't they just go down the list? Just Google search Florida man, and then see what each Florida man was busted for, and then just bring them all in there and have them recreate whatever they're busted for.
If they're going to feed morons to the alligators, I might be for that.
Wasn't there the one Florida guy that started? He was like cannibalizing some dead guy on the side of the road. That was another one.
The guy on bath salts. Yeah, just have all the players take bath salts before the All-Star game, and then we're good.
Have a free
Entertained.
Yeah,
that would be Florida, right?
It would be Florida.
Yeah. Very Florida.
Speaking of idiocy, is there a player that you would think of less to get a statue than Dustin Brown?
So it's weird, but I also don't know what he's done for the community. If he's done a lot for the community, then heck yeah. But I don't know much about what he did for the city.
But like
he could have done a lot.
And that does make sense. But from a purely sports perspective,
yeah, no, I wouldn't.
But think of this
for
around
the LA Kings.
Center,
when you think of the LA Kings, you think Wayne Gretzky, maybe Luke Robitaille, Andre Kopitar. And then Dustin Brown. I don't know. But
so his statue is going to be outside of the Staples Center, where you have guys like Kobe Bryant and Shaq and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson, all these enormous names, and then here's Dustin Brown.
No one's going to know who this guy is.
How many non Hall of Famers? Because he absolutely will not be a Hall of Famer. No. How many non Hall of Famers have statues standing outside of? I mean, maybe the town that they grew up in or something, but
maybe
outside
do you think they would retire his number?
Arena they played at.
Maybe they're not going to do
crazy.
That. That's what they're doing. Are they?
I don't know.
They say that
you retire a number before you make a statue of somebody.
Yeah.
I saw that. I also saw that.
Legendary.
I love. Speaking of retiring numbers, as we're on the same subject, I love Marian Hossa. I do. Mm-hmm. But like Chicago retiring his number, like just because I know he won the 3 cups there, but is that like should he be retired? His number be retired there and not in Ottawa or Atlanta's not a team anymore. But
to draw attention away from other shit that's going on.
Yeah, well, that's Chicago for you right now.
It'd be like
something to draw fans, right? Draw fans to the arena. Have a number retirement night, I guess, right?
Dustin Brown statue is like me getting a statue in like the greatest Italian restaurant in Italy or something. Like I'm having a statue.
I would like to see, if Dustin Brown did do a ton for the community, then
I'm
awesome.
Sure he did. I'm sure he did.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't. From a sports perspective, it's weird.
Swim, there should be a statue of you outside of inline Morristown with a TV in your hands.
There absolutely should be.
Oh, my God.
The Hamburglar outfit.
Oh man.
That would be fantastic.
Speaking of Chicago, a couple weeks ago, Taves had his comments about the organization and how he figures he has 4 or 5 years left and he doesn't really see himself being there for a full rebuild. So my question to you guys is this the last training camp that we see both Kane and Taves in Chicago?
Yes.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be.
They're not.
I don't see why they would stay. I mean, they have 3 cups, so yeah, maybe they're not going to get a payday at Chicago, right? Chicago's not going to throw them another double-digit $1 million contract, most likely, probably, right?
Yeah.
So
no. He can go somewhere else, be effective, and maybe win a cup somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, if that's what, and I expect Taves to want to continue to win. Kane probably too. So
definitely.
And Chicago's going to be looking to bring people in at the trade, get assets at the trade deadline too, because more than likely they're not going anywhere towards the playoffs this year.
No, I mean they're a disaster.
Isn't that sad?
If they wait to the trade deadline, though, they're not going to get as they could have gotten more. I think they could have gotten a bigger package now for either of them than they would at the trade deadline. Because if it's too expensive, teams are just going to be like, no, sorry, I will just, yeah, you want a player like Taves and Kane, but they're not going to give up their entire the next 3 years of draft picks, which is probably what they're going to be asking for. And they could potentially have gotten in the offseason, but I don't know. They need to get something, right? Too. Otherwise, they're just going to walk.
Yeah.
I mean, which would be great. I'd rather have them, just totally screw this up.
Leave for nothing.
That would be, yeah.
Especially just because that organization doesn't deserve. And they really, I hope that as much as I hate Montreal and them possibly getting Connor Bedard, I do not want him going to Chicago because they absolutely do not deserve him. And that's a immediate rectification and just a boost to a franchise, and that's the last thing I want is for Chicago to be rewarded for just being a terrible hockey organization.
I don't think he's going to go to Montreal either.
I don't want him to go to Philly.
Well, I actually it'd be great for him to go to Arizona. That he can play in Mullet Arena.
I think it'd be terrible. I don't know if they're going to want this generational type player being drafted by the friggin' Coyotes playing in front of 400 people every night.
The question is, where does the league want him to go? Where will the league want him to go?
That's what it's going to be. Yep, they're going to skew something.
Someone's
insane that
going to go from number 10 to number 1.
Arizona has had one number 1 overall pick, and right? That's it. Was Shane Doan a number 1 pick?
No,
right?
No. I don't think they've ever had him.
Shane Doan was a Winnipeg. Wait, who's he drafted by?
He was a Jet.
Yeah. So they've never had a number 1 overall pick. For as horrible as they've been throughout the entire history of that organization, they've never had a number 1 pick.
Often.
Who's never picked number 1 in the NHL draft? So the Calgary Flames have never picked number 1 overall. The 4th overall was the highest, and that was Sam Bennett. The Anaheim Ducks have never had a number 1 overall. Their highest ever pick was 2nd, and they got Bobby Ryan and Oleg Tverdovsky in '94 was a 2nd overall pick. Let's see here. Carolina Hurricanes have never, obviously, they've picked 2nd 4 times. They got Chris Pronger, Eric Stahl, Andrei Svechnikov, and Sylvain Turgeon.
Yeah, these teams haven't been like yearly bottom feeders.
True. Minnesota Wild, their highest was Marian Gaborik at 3rd. Nashville Predators, their highest was number 2 overall, David Legwand.
He was wasn't he their first ever pick, Legwand?
Yeah, first ever pick, yep.
Yeah.
San Jose Sharks, their highest overall was Andre Zizu. I never messed his name up. Zyuzin.
Yeah, Zuzin.
And they also got he's number 2 overall. Same with Patrick Marleau, 2nd overall. We'll talk about Marleau in a second. The number 1 overall pick in '97 ended up joining the Sharks in 2005. That was Joe Thornton. Seattle Kraken obviously have never picked number 1. They picked Matty Beniers 2nd overall last year. Vancouver
pick.
Canucks, their highest overall was number 2 and 3 when they took the Sedin twins. And then you have the Vegas Golden Knights, where their highest overall was 6th.
They got time.
Yeah, so
maybe they'll be first overall.
say
Maybe they'll
the
be hot
Coyotes?
garbage.
Wait, so
No,
the
they won't be
Coyotes?
that bad.
I don't think
Arizona
they're going to
has?
be good. I think they might be pretty bad.
I don't think they're going to be that bad, but yeah, they're going to struggle.
I don't think they're going to be, not like they were.
So it sounds like from that list, and that was 2002. It said, or 2022, Arizona has had a first overall pick.
First overall, really? The hell did they ever take first overall? There's
Maybe
no way.
it was part of the Winnipeg Jets. Maybe the Winnipeg Jets.
Had to been, not when they were
yeah.
at Arizona.
Maybe
The
that's why.
organization itself has had it.
Oh,
So
well, that's easy. That's isn't that Eric Lindros?
Oh,
Eric
those,
Lindros? No,
I thought
Nordiques.
Oh no, he's Nordique. Sorry,
yeah,
I think it's-
He
Quebec.
was a Nordique.
Yeah, wrong one.
Yeah. Then was
Come on now.
traded.
Oh, was it shoot, the guy who went to the Buffalo Sabres. Man, this is great podcasting.
Mhm.
Yeah, seriously.
Welcome back.
Yeah, seriously. Preseason. Hey, listen, camp
We're
is
not
just
holding anything
opening
back.
up. Camp is just opening up. We got to get the kinks worked out before the season starts.
True.
Everyone looks terrible in camp anyway in the first week.
There
so
might be some
we can look
cuts.
terrible.
One or
Yeah.
two of us might get cut.
That's the
It's
that's
crazy
that's
because
part of every coach's job. The cuts.
on the
At
cuts.
11,
So
14, 15, 19, 11, 19, 5,
Dean, you don't have to keep reading things.
8,
You're cut.
3,
Kyle
8,
Turris, Dylan
6,
Strome, and Logan Cooley have all been third overall picks.
12,
so it
3,
must have been
They've never had a
7,
first overall. There's no way.
Arizona has not, but I
5.
guess it's Winnipeg has had them.
3. Yeah, 3 might be the highest.
Yeah, I guess they're saying that it's probably then.
That's
Winnipeg
Arizona,
had it
Phoenix.
before. Yeah. All right, so we learned something today. That was great podcasting.
I
Yep.
blame
All right.
you.
I always blame myself.
You're running this damn show.
Bruins and Blues are talking about David Pastrnak. There's some rumors out there, so that'd be interesting. Bruins would be crazy to deal their stud forward, but I guess he's kind of frustrated with the organization.
We'll take him.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
It's going to be Pastrnak for Tarasenko.
Yeah, it's a great deal. NHL is looking to address the disparity between low to no state taxes, low to no tax states and other states / Canada, to kind of even the gap between the Florida teams and some of those other guys that keep getting, keep bypassing the cap because they're jerks. Adidas is no longer the NHL.
Yeah, Toodles. Did they sign anybody else yet or no?
Yeah, no one yet.
I was
They're
just gonna
here
ask
for
that.
one more year.
Okay. So this is the last year of
happens.
Adidas. And then next season it'll be whoever.
Yeah.
Watch it be like
Hopefully
friggin' like Lululemon or some shit.
Like stupid. Like
Something
Team
stupid as
Canada.
hell.
I don't know. I really liked what Adidas did with the
I didn't
reverse
mind
retros and
They weren't
bringing
bad.
some of the stuff back. And I just didn't like the redesign of the Devils jersey, taking out the bottom stripe. It looks so stupid.
Yep. There's a couple things we saw on Twitter, which I've sent to you guys throughout the time, but go back and this is a quote from Nathan McKinnon. It's crazy how they went back to back. This is in reference to the Tampa Bay Lightning. McKinnon said, "I might get fat as shit right now, so I don't know if we're going back to back, but I'm going to enjoy it for sure." So that was Nathan McKinnon. 6 years ago, free agency. These were the contracts that were handed out. So hopefully 6 years from now, we get some of these lovely contracts. Milan Lucic, 7 years, $42 million.
Awful.
God
That was
damn.
so-
Kyle
William.
Okposo. Yeah, what's up?
Some breaking news dropped by
Ooh.
Ray Leo. The Dallas Stars have acquired defenseman Nils
Yeah, Rangers.
Lundqvist from the New York
I know,
Rangers
I was going
for
to
a
come to it.
2023 conditional first-round pick and a 2025
Yes.
conditional fourth-round pick.
I would love for that to become a first-round pick. So let's just put it that way. If Dallas can somehow fudge up their season, I get there first and get a better chance at Connor Bedard, sign me up.
I don't know what the conditions
Maybe
are,
it's
though. It doesn't say.
Yeah, you got to wait
could
till
be
see
like
that
top
out.
10
But
projected or top 5
thank you,
projected.
Ray. I saw that before. I was going to make some notice, but I appreciate you sending that note.
You're
some
not
of the
getting
other
Bedard, right, Dean? So just drop it.
How great would that be?
Yeah, Dean, you're not getting
How
Bedard.
great
Not
would
getting
that be?
If you get Bedard, I get to punch you square in the stomach.
That's fine. I would absolutely. All three of you could punch me right in the stomach. You could kidney shot me for all I care.
I realize the Jets stripped Wheeler of his captaincy.
Yeah, I
saw that
Yes,
too.
they
That's
did.
crazy.
getting in all the news.
Steven's just opening
He's
everything
just
right now.
taking my whole list
Seriously.
and just shoving it right up the hoop.
He saw your list.
Yeah, I'm not,
I
I'm
didn't
not
want to
interested in what you're
then
talking
I'll get
about
back to this.
currently.
So then I'll get back to this. So
Something about
Rangers,
Lucic, I don't care.
Yeah, that's fine. Rangers
He signed
great
a bad
trade.
contract.
Especially a guy that they didn't seem to have room for.
Uh-oh.
That's right.
Dean froze. Dean's frozen.
Are we
now
frozen?
We could still talk.
we can still talk. We can talk. We can talk.
Biggest loser I've ever seen in my life.
We
can't hear anything we're
trash
saying
talk the Rangers now. Seriously. Oh, he's back. We
Oh,
gotta
he's
stop
back.
talking about him now.
Dean, we were saying nothing but good things about you while you were gone.
I'm sure. But yeah, it was good trade for them. They possibly get a first-round pick in 2023, which is amazing. I'm sure it could go to 2024.
We're not getting Bedard.
Yeah, it's apparently, according to Ray Leo, it's top 10 protected.
See?
Okay.
Toodles.
Well,
Yep.
it is what it is. Or if not, it goes to 2024. Is that what it says?
Correct, yes.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take the 2024 first.
Tampa's going to tank for Bedard. Tampa's going to tank for Bedard this year.
Whoever you have said, he's eventually going to Tampa. So
Tampa's going to start the season with everybody on long-term IR.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have zero cap space.
They're going to have a ton of cap space because everyone on their team is on IR. And they're going to be able to sign whoever they want. They're going to trade for Pasternak. They're going to get him.
Okay. I like where you're going here.
And then playoff time, they'll sneak into the playoffs and then all of a sudden have a $200 million salary budget out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And Steve, we talked about this. Nathan McKinnon and the rumors that he could be the highest paid player in the NHL. When Elliot Friedman had him on the podcast, he asked him the question, could you be the highest paid player in the NHL? And he laughed and he goes, you'll have to talk to my agent, Pat. And he was talking about Pat Brisson, obviously, because he's his agent. But I think he's going to take a bank, and I don't fault him for that. I know you think he's going to be Crosby-esque, but I really think he's going for the gold.
I still think he's going to take a lesson from Crosby and just take here's my concern, though, is that like he can look at how dark I got because Melvin's in my light. He could take a pay cut, right? But like Colorado has signed some pretty bad contracts in this offseason. So you already have a bunch of players like handcuffing the team from the get-go. But he won a cup. So now, and he's been the most discounted player in the entire league for a long time now.
He would deserve it.
So yeah, he could just go out. He absolutely deserves it, and he could go after a payday and demand a payday. And I wouldn't blame him. But again, he is best friends with Sid, and Sid. Yeah, we all know his ways and how he leads. So I wouldn't be surprised if he took another pay cut. But I also wouldn't. I don't know. It could go either way. I think he's going to take a pay cut, but yes, he could.
Well, not necessarily a pay cut. He's still going to get a
it.
raise from what he's making now.
Well, I'm sorry, not a pay cut, a discount. I'm going to say discount. Yes.
Yeah, hometown discount.
Yeah.
All right. So you did talk about Blake Wheeler. Can you think of a captain that's been stripped that's been there with a team for so long and hasn't been traded? That's
the guy who just got a statue.
Dustin Brown was one. Thornton was one also, wasn't he?
One was. Oh, yeah. I guess for.
He got stripped at. Where was he?
San Jose, right?
Elliot.
San Jose.
Elliot.
I can think of that.
I think Elias had the captaincy for a little bit, and then he either gave it up or it was taken away from him because it just didn't work out. He wasn't captain material. Not that he wasn't good in the locker room, but it wasn't. That role was not right for him.
But he had, Wheeler had some supporters. Scheifele was amazed and kind of befuddled. A lot of guys in that locker room, and Scheifele said all the right things, but he did say he was shocked and he was not Shifley, sorry. Wheeler said all the right things, and he was shocked a little bit, but he said, everything they needed to, saying that he's still going to be a leader inside the dressing room. It didn't matter about the A or the C, what was on his jersey, but
is he still going to be a alternate captain?
They don't know yet. Yeah, it's all about bonus.
They're starting with no captain.
Brown, they didn't give him anything. I think they completely took it away. They didn't make him an alternate captain. I think they took everything completely away from him. We're just like, crazy. Jesus. And now this guy's got a statue.
Yeah. Those contracts I was talking about. The contracts I was talking about, Steve. Kyle Okposo, 7 years, $42 million. Andrew Ladd, 7 years, $38 million. Louis Erickson, 6 years, $36 million. A couple other bad ones. David Backus with the Bruins.
Skinner. How about Skinner's contract? That's one of the worst of all time.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad one. All right, and then lastly, we talked about this. Jaromir Jagr sends out a tweet on free agency when everyone is getting paid. He goes, NHL GMs, I am also a free agent. Once again, 6'3", 265 pounds, 50 years old, slow but strong and good hands, can bring experience and like to play only home games. Call me anytime. Also, as owner of hockey club in Czech Liga, I am looking to sign a defenseman. No jokes.
There's not one person that I know or any of us or anybody who wouldn't want Jagr to play for their team right now.
Absolutely.
I absolutely would want to play for my team right now.
So much.
I don't give a shit.
Because you finally want to have him on your team like he's been on all
Yes,
ours.
And I want that goddamn shirt that everyone else has, and I don't have it.
Jagr bombs, baby. Jagr bombs.
It's bull. He was supposed to go to Tampa, and he went to Florida instead. I got screwed.
Yeah. I mean, that guy is just – he's one of the best. And, it's fun to watch him and see him out there playing for his Czech team that he's only playing because the team would flounder and go bankrupt, so he needs to keep all these guys employed, and that's the only reason he plays.
I want to see him play again because he missed so much time in the NHL. I feel like we missed out on so many good years of watching him.
Yeah, we did.
Still be effective and awesome, and maybe even win another Stanley Cup. And I don't know, but now it's kind of, I guess, a little too late for that. But still, you never know.
All right, so we'll get into this. Our season previews. We're gonna do. A bunch of teams. Well, this one we're going to do Pacific Division, and then we'll break it up and we'll do Western and then the Metro and Atlantic in the next coming weeks. Obviously, we have two more shows after this to go before the season starts. That what is it? Friday the 7th is the first game. It's the Penguins are in Prague, I think, playing, and then the Rangers and Tampa, the first game of the official game of the season in the U.S. on the 11th. So I'm gonna hope that my team.
How are you gonna feel when Tampa smokes you game one?
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so let's go from worst to best. Last year in the Pacific, if you remember the standings, Calgary was first with 111 points, Edmonton 104, then followed by the Kings, Knights, Canucks, Sharks, Ducks, and your Seattle Kraken. Seattle Kraken, obviously, getting better. They drafted very well. They have Matty Beniers is going to be probably their top line center. They go in the draft and get possibly the best player in Shane Wright, who slides down to them. He will probably start the season with them, with Seattle to see how he does, and then they could always send him back to juniors if they wanted to. You got Jordan Eberle and Jaden Schwartz and Yanni Gord's still there and Andre Burakovsky. So they have some, vets around these young kids to play, and see how they do. Oliver Bjorkstrand, who they got in a trade, Alex Wenberg. Defense, Vince Dunn's their number one defenseman, Adam Larson. They have Jimmy Alexiak, Justin Schultz. Goaltenders, they're hoping better from Grubauer and Chris Drieger. Is that tandem? What are your guys' thoughts on Seattle? Whoever wants to step in on this, but, is this a team, how far away are these guys from being cup contenders?
Quite far.
Yeah, quite far,
but they're going to be better.
Yeah,
they got the two young guys. The two young guys in Beniers and Wright. I mean, if that's a line, they have a future tandem right there, which every team
they're
needs.
both centers.
The rest of the lineup is kind of but I mean somebody could slide. I would probably try to keep them together if possible. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Or you have a 1-2 and it's Crosby Malkin-esque type thing going. Obviously, neither of them are either of those players, but you know what I mean. I don't know. They'll be better. They'll be a little more exciting, but they're still going to be in the bottom for a while because their expansion draft did not go well. So when we saw Vegas do their expansion draft and we were kind of skeptical about what they were doing, and I mean then Vegas kind of they shot out of a cannon there, but then obviously they didn't. They have nothing in the wings, waiting in the wings for them. But Seattle's kind of the opposite. It's going to take a while for them. They basically drafted as a rebuild, so they were starting at a rebuild, and they didn't have a whole lot. I mean, they didn't bring anything in to build around. Did you know one guy that they brought in the expansion draft that they could potentially build an entire franchise around? There's nobody.
No,
So they're going to have to rely on this. They're going to have to rely on this draft. Beniers and Wright, hopefully, are those guys. So that's where you're starting right there. These guys are 18, 19 years old, so you're starting right from the beginning. And then maybe they can bring in some guys via free agency if these kids are exciting. So they got a long way to go.
They did bring in some decent pieces, like Yanni Gord, like Vince Dunn. But, no one to really build around. I mean, they got a goaltender in Philip Grubauer who's kind of been disappointing. Or he has been disappointing, not even kind of. This year they bring in $15 million in salary. Burakovsky, Bjorkstrand, Schultz, Martin Jones as a third string goalie. Kempney. It's not great, right? It's something that this is a team that you're hoping can play defense and win 2-1 games and not get blown away. So
ideally you need your 1-2 centers, a defenseman, and a goalie. If you have that on your team, that foundation, then you can build around that. And they definitely don't have a goalie. Probably don't have a defenseman. Maybe have that 1-2 center punch. So see where they go from here.
Their leading scorer last year was Jared McCann with 50 points. Andre Burakovsky, who they had in this year, had 61 in the regular season. Bjorkstrand at 57. So they're bringing guys that are can put some points on the board, but no one of significance. Real significance other than Shane Wright.
Bedard in the draft, and they have going forward. They have Bedard, Shane Wright, and Matty Beniers. That would be
legitimately see that happen.
Nasty. That'd be nasty.
Yeah, because that Seattle as a city is such a passionate fan base for all their teams.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The league desperately wants them to be successful. So I could see the league playing kingmaker with Seattle in the Bedard sweepstakes.
Hey, Shorts guy, you're getting some love.
Am I?
So this podcast has a better goaltender than Seattle.
Hell yeah!
Nice. Good job, Ray.
That was Ray. Thank you, Ray.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah, Ray Leo. Okay, so number 2 in that second worst in the division was the Anaheim Ducks. You think of the Ducks, and you think of Trevor Zegras and the Michigan goals. You think of Troy Terry. They added some guys in the offseason. Ryan Strome to be their second-line center, kind of take pressure off of Zegras. Mason McTavish is coming up, and he's got all sorts of talent, and he's, a really good young prospect. One of the guys that everybody's kind of, gawking over. Cam Fowler on defense, John Klingberg, they bring in for $7 million per for just the 1 year, so he's mostly a trade candidate. Kevin Shattenkirk's, Drivesdale, Shattenkirk, John Gibson, who's looking for a rebound season. They have a decent amount of talent.
I thought he would have been definite trade
Devils
market or somebody would have got him in the offseason.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I absolutely agree. I would have thought the draft he would have been gone.
I thought he was one of the definites. This guy's absolutely being traded this offseason. And
there's still a chance of him coming to Pittsburgh if Pittsburgh doesn't decide to. If they don't decide to sign Jari, because he's a free agent after this year. I wanted
friggin' Math to go back to Pittsburgh. That pissed me off. He resigned with Minnesota.
I would have also.
Yeah.
I wanted
over
him back
to Smith, especially.
like I said, Ducks brought in Ryan Strome, John Klingberg, Frank Vetrano from the Rangers, Oli Olivi. They made waves in the first half of last season as their young stars, began to blossom. They bring in a legit top six center, Ryan Strome, who should do well behind Trevor Zegras. And, they have a lot of guys that they can deal if they want to come trade deadline, if they start to fall out and, recoup some assets. So they're kind of a dark horse, I think, for Connor Bedard and for those top picks in the 2023 draft, which, we'll get into the 2023 draft and how loaded this is, because they say now, even the top 10 picks, you're getting a major player in the top 10, which is crazy. This is that kind of draft.
It's going to be 2003 all over again. Everyone picks up good stuff, and the Rangers.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew you were going to do that. Don't worry. Anybody else got anything on Arizona? Sorry, Anaheim.
Suns in this draft, and the Rangers are going to draft him. That's awesome.
Yeah. Anybody else on the Ducks?
Nah. You said
More
it all.
the same. More the same. I don't expect them to be any different than last year. Them and like Seattle. I don't picture anything really different happening.
It's a fight for the
nothing special.
Right
better, but still gonna get whooped mostly.
Mm-hmm.
They're the doormat, right? I don't think there's a bunch of teams that are in that same boat where they're the whipping boys for the NHL, and they're definitely one of them. San Jose Sharks bringing back a treasure trove of players that are overpaid. Timo Meier, Thomas Hertl. You have Logan Couture's coming back. Kevin LeBlanc. You have Luke Kunin. Their depth is not overly fantastic, but definitely interesting. Mario Ferraro, former UMass Minuteman. He's on the top pair with Erik Karlsson. You have Mark-Edward Vlasik's corpse still manning the blue line.
It's a hell of a contract, too.
It is. James Reimer, Kapokakinen is going to be the starter, it sounds like. He comes over.
Yeah.
Circle that right there. There you go.
Right
yeah,
there.
They have Andrei Svechnikov's brother. And pretty much.
Joey.
Yeah, Joey Svechnikov.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh, man. They brought in Nico Sturm, Oscar Lindblom, who obviously great story. I'm not going to make fun of him. Luke Kunin, Matt Bennings. They ship out Brent Burns. He goes to the Carolina Hurricanes, where they actually had to trade then, other things to go with Brent Burns to get rid of him.
Did Carroll have the best offseason of all the freaking people they acquired?
We'll get into that. I mean, Pacioretty's out for now 6 months, so
I know
maybe that's not as.
If that didn't happen, maybe made some pretty bold moves.
But San Jose, Mike Rear, new GM, head coach David Quinn, 11 seasons of having Burns as one of the best players in franchise history. They draft high upside prospects this year, and added obviously the inspirational story that is Oscar Lindblom. They're still looking to ship off guys, and I'm sure that they do anything to get rid of Karlsson's contract and, Logan Couture, and, we talked about Mark-Edward Vlasic. They're not really going to be competing for a playoff spot, I don't think, this year, even though they do have, some upper echelon guys like Timo Meier and Hertl and Logan Couture. Do you guys see anything out of this club of relevance?
No, they're real bad.
Yeah.
They could certainly compete for the number one. They could use the number one overall pick. They just got rid of Brent Burns for nothing, and they would have to do the same for Karlsson. But it's a lot. Even 50% is a lot of salary to commit to for a player that's not on your team for all those years.
It's crazy. All right, Vancouver Canucks, and this was a team last year that had high hopes. Steven last year.
His year before that.
2 years ago. Thought they'd been the Stanley Cup final.
2 years ago. Thank you.
Actually win the cup, he said, I think. And that was not a great predictor for the Canucks. They have continually gone downhill. They
jinxed him.
He did. He jinxed him. They re-signed JT Miller, 8-year deal, $8 million per, 7 something per, high salary. They have him and Elias Pettersson and Bo Horvat and Connor Garland and our our friend of the podcast, Brock Besser. They do sign, some high upside young players, Vasily Podkolzin, Niels Hoglander. They bring in some tremendous talent, Ilya Mikhaev, and they're looking to be a dark horse, I think, this year. Oliver Ekman-Larsson on the back end he needs to have a better season than he's had. Quinn Hughes, Devils are still trying to get the third Hughes brother, but most likely they won't be able to get him.
They will.
Tyler Myers, Thatcher Demko, who's looking to have a bounce back year at 26. He was good. He was decent last year, but he did a lot, to kind of build on. They do have Phil DiGiuseppe, that Schwimm's boy, and then some other high-end prospects.
I'm going to try to get him on the show, guys. Right? I'm
try. Do it.
Please do. That would be fantastic. They added some decent players, but this team looks like it's one that's going to, I think, bounce back, and I believe that they could be, under Bruce Boudreau, a playoff team, especially in a Pacific Division that's not overly good. I mean, the Knights, well, we can talk about our rankings of the Pacific in a little bit, but I think they could take the next step. What do you guys think about the Vancouver Canucks?
They can,
Next step as in making the playoffs?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Is this a playoff team?
This division is.
I love Thatcher Demko, so with him,
yeah, so do I.
I think, and they have a pretty good offensive unit, but I don't know. Bruce Boudreau is notorious to getting teams into the playoffs and then blowing it, but
Toodles.
I don't know. I'm still not. I'm not entirely impressed with this team, but yeah, I think they could. They'll compete for a spot. Whether or not they make it is another thing, but I think they'll at least be competing for a playoff position.
Yep.
Yeah,
all right.
I'd have to agree.
Now, here's the team that everybody wants to talk about and see what's going to happen this year. It's the Vegas Golden Knights. You have stars like Jack Eichel and Mark Stone. You have the old reliable line of, the jam line with Marchessault, Carlson, and Riley Smith, who they give an extension to, Riley Smith. Chandler Stevenson had a good year last year as the number one center, and they do obviously trade Max Pacioretty, who they also had to deal then a defenseman who Carolina thinks will be in their power play eventually in order to get Pacioretty's contract off. So you want to talk about getting nothing, that would be Vegas Golden Knights. Brett Howden's still there, that fantastic fourth-line center. Alec Martinez, Alex Pietrangelo, their back line still has the talent and the names to kind of get things done. Shea Theodore, they always love how I say Theodore. I guess the big thing is their goaltending. You have Robin Leonard out for the season. Shea Weber, their injured reserve for the whole season is this: Robin Leonard $5 million, Shea Weber $8 million. Nolan Patrick, $1.5 million. They have everybody on LTIR. They add, Laurent Brossoit is their backup goaltender. I believe they just brought in Aiden Hill from San Jose. I guess he's going to be their starter.
Jeez.
Has there been a team that's had a worse offseason and a worse trajectory from winning, being in the Cup finals? I don't know, was it 4 years ago?
Their first year,
2000,
right?
Yeah, it's
2018. 18.
So 5 years ago?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've kind of fallen back.
Ago.
They were like sky high coming right out of the gate, and everybody like, oh man, this team looks. Nobody expected that, and everybody's like, oh, this team looks pretty good actually.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of like,
back
they
down
kind
to
of
where
leveled
they
out
should
a
be.
little bit. Yeah, kind of
They're
like where we expected.
They're back where they should be. Yeah,
and everybody likes
Eichel and Mark Stone together. That could be pretty damn good.
But is there a scorer on this team? Is there a guy that can get goals? Because that's the big thing. They traded Pacioretty, who could get 30 to 40. Now they're going to rely on Jack Eichel to score.
Yeah.
They need William Carson to start scoring again, right?
Yeah, Carson.
Yeah. If you could get back to where he was,
Riley Smith is still there, right?
Yeah, just signed an
they
extension.
just signed him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they need to basically bank on that first season when all of those guys were scoring, like Marchessault, Riley Smith, and William Carlson were scoring career high everything. So, but I don't see any of that happening.
I gotta get the.
But I mean,
now with
Mark
Leonard
Stone will score, Eichel will score, but I mean, if Eichel just continues to go down this path of never making the playoffs,
I feel bad for him.
It's especially being traded to who everybody thought was a powerhouse in Vegas, and like all of a sudden, Vegas gets Eichel, and they're like, okay, this team is a team to be reckoned with, and then they don't even make the playoffs, and then they trade Pacioretty for nothing at all.
Nothing.
Just a thank you, I guess.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
I don't know.
Sexy choice.
And they don't. And like I said, they got rid of so many draft picks to acquire so many of these players, and they kind of
got nothing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Corey Elk says trade Blackwood to Vegas. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Sure. So they can't. Vegas can't afford anything right now.
Yeah. I was to say Jack Eichel $10 million, Mark Stone $9.5, Marchessault, Carlson, and Smith are all over 5. Petrangelo's at 9. Shea Theodore's at 5.2. I mean, they have, and Alec Martinez another 5.2. They're over the cap. They have. Could you imagine if? We talked about this a while ago. Could you imagine if Shea Weber came back in the middle of the season? He's like, "I'm healthy. I want to play." They couldn't afford. They couldn't bring him out of the roster.
Yeah, no.
They have him. Like
They'd have to make
that would be
immediate
hysterical.
moves.
Yeah, that would be
They have
hysterical
to
if
make
he did
immediate
that.
moves to get it done.
They have backup and third string at goaltenders as their starting goalies, basically.
Aiden Hill is going to be their.
They don't have any goalies. They have no goaltending. They shot themselves in the foot with goaltending.
The one kid,
3
the
seasons
Thompson
ago.
kid, played pretty well for them, but still, I don't know if he's
still there.
ready to take over, be a number 1 goalie or anything like that. But
no,
I don't know.
That's rough.
I think they're. I don't know. I feel bad. I want to see them make the playoffs. I want to see Jack Eichel actually just make the playoffs. I feel bad for him.
But I mean, it is fun to look at Vegas because they remain the most hilarious franchise. I mean, they acquire star players with basically the deft of touch of a cursed monkey's paw. Like they acquire someone and it's the worst thing to happen to the franchise, and it's actually really funny, and it's cool. Like if you're a Vegas fan, your ownership just going out and be like, I want the star player, so either go out and get Jack Eichel or I'm getting Mark Stone. Like that's fun. But now you can see that it's starting to really take its toll on this franchise. They've, dealt guys where Nick Suzuki's now the captain of the Montreal, Canadiens, and he's one of a player that you would love to grow with if you were the Vegas Golden Knights right now.
Yep.
So,
Well, it's the opposite. Basically the anti-Tampa. They traded away all of their picks and assets to try and win now, and they didn't. And this is the risk that you take.
Mm-hmm.
With Tampa, it worked out wonderfully, back-to-back cups. So, but then you get the other end of the spectrum where you now are, well over the cap, giving away players for free, and you have no prospects coming up. So, and no picks. When is their next first-round pick? And then not next year, right? The year after, maybe something like that.
A while. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, but they have assets that they could trade to somebody to get a first round pick this year if they've got nothing going for them.
Yeah.
Who would they? Who? Unless they, they're best. And for a first round pick, you need a team to be. You can't. First of all, they can't hang on to any salary. I don't know what Melvin's doing. They can't retain any salary in any contract, and the team, whoever's giving them this first round pick, needs to be able to fit these horrendous contracts that they gave these players. So
it's not.
And they're not going to trade. They're not going to trade Eichel, right? They're not trading Eichel. They're not trading Stone. They're not trading Petrangelo. Shea Theodore could probably get you a king's ransom if you really wanted to, and his contract actually isn't that bad. So he's a player potentially, but
so he's like the one guy that they should really try to hang on to.
Yeah,
he's a phenomenal player.
He's 27.
Which means they'll get rid of him.
Yeah. He's 27. He's 5.2. He has another 2. He's signed until 2025. Another 2 names that I actually just looked at. Marchessault has 1 year left at $5 million. That's not awful. Chandler
Stevenson, a good year this year, they could deal him.
Chandler Stevenson could be.
He's He's 28.
something.
Stevenson. He has $2.7 million on his cap. He has 1 year after this, so he could fetch him a first. He had 64 points last year.
I don't know about first.
He was the
Somebody
number
would
one
probably
center last
overpay
year.
him.
I mean, 60 points, 65 points.
Yeah, but
So
a
what
first-round
is
pick
that
for
like
Chandler Stevenson.
Yeah, there's been worse.
That's
You've seen worse. You've seen first-round picks traded
I have.
for worse.
And
Blake Coleman,
they,
the only
who,
first
I,
round.
I can't even think of who Vegas just traded for a first-round pick. What was it? Not last season, the season before. That was atrocious.
For
I don't.
Evgeny Dodonov.
Dodonov, yeah,
Yeah. It takes one. Oh, we also forgot Phil Kessel's on the team. He's hopefully going to get his 1,000th NHL game this season, so that'd be really cool. So good for Phil. I love that hot dog eating son of a bee. All right, so next on the list we have the LA Kings. They added Kevin Fiala. A team that's building around some defensive depth and defensive-minded structure with Anze Kopitar and Philip Deneau as your top two centers. You have Kempe, you have Victor Arvidsson, who re-signed last year, or actually traded for last year, and then you have the crop of young talent coming up. You have, Quinn Byfield, who's been projected to be the third-line center, Arthur Kaliev, and you have Brendan Lemieux, who's always good for a laugh. Drew Doughty and Michael Anderson and Matt Waugh and Sean Dursey and Sean Walker, like all these young defensemen. You have Jonathan Quick, you have Cal Pedersen, who we're looking to see what he could do. He makes $5 million per year, Cal Pedersen, by the way, which is nuts. But Gabe Velarde and Elias Anderson, my boy, they got some talent and some young guys coming up. Alex Turcotte, a bunch of top-end players. And this team's going to try to take that next step. And can you see them competing with the likes of Edmonton Oilers and Calgary Flames for the division title?
Division title, I don't know, but they'll be there. They'll be in the playoffs, and I think they'll comfortably be in the playoffs as well.
So we think they're pretty legitimate now. I don't think any of us thought they were going to have the season that they did last year.
No.
So they were like one of the surprise teams last year. So now I think, we're thinking more of the same from them. So obviously a top three. I don't know about winning the division, but definitely a
I think
playoff team.
Similar to last year, right? They finished the third, I think. Was it third in the division? Yeah. I think they can finish second or third. You never kind of know what you're going to get with Edmonton, right? And then Calgary, after losing Goudreau, I mean, they're still going to be. I think Calgary did a great job rebounding from that.
Oh man,
and
Goudreau,
they had to.
I think they need to sign Mackenzie Weegar.
All right,
but signing Goudreau.
Who are talking about?
I'm kind of still going the Kings, but I'm just comparing them to these if they can compete with that.
Statues.
Yeah, I'm done with the Kings. I think the Kings will I think comfortably make the playoffs. They're not going to fit into a wild card. They'll fit into the top three somewhere. Probably won't win the division, but
all right. So we'll do Flames and Edmonton Oilers.
They're not winning the division.
All right. So Edmonton Oilers, who came in second last year, obviously, we have the big guys, right? It's Connor McDavid, it's Leon Draisaitl, it's Zach Hyman, Evander Kane. And then you have RNH and Kyler Yamamoto, and then it plummets. You have, Jesse Puljujarvi is still, he resigns for 1 year, $3 million. He's got the talent, and if he could ever take the step forward to being what he should have been, what everyone thinks he could be, that could make this team really dangerous at the forward group. It's the defense. I mean, Darnell Nurse is back. He's good. Cody Ceci, Brett Kulak, Evan Bouchard.
Overpaid.
$9.2 million for Darnell Nurse is crazy. Evan Bouchard's there. He's got talent, and he's former number one pick. That's they're hoping he could take a step. Philip Broberg, Tyson Barrie on the back line. Their goaltending Schwim, Jack Campbell, and Stuart Skinner. They go through and get a retread with Jack Campbell. They're hoping Stuart Skinner could kind of take a step as a prospect. Greg McKegg's on the team.
Am I the only one who feels like this? Am I the only one who feels like, I don't know, out of nowhere, I don't like Edmonton. I don't know why. I can't explain it. Out of nowhere, I don't like
because they're so poor. They're so poorly managed. It's difficult to root for them. And I love Draisaitl and McDavid.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like you like these two players so much. Like Connor McDavid, it's so fun to watch. And the same with Draisaitl. Draisaitl was hurt during the playoffs last year where he could barely move.
It's also so much fun to watch. It's also so much fun to watch them do the same thing every single year and just know what the results are going to be. And it's over and over and over again. And every time you just laugh because it's like it's entertaining, right? It shouldn't be because you feel bad because you want these guys to succeed. But it's entertaining just Edmonton doing Edmonton things, right? Just same crap, no goalies, no defense, no bottom six. It's just the same thing over and over. And as exciting as they are, you just know failure is right there. And it's going to come, and then it does, and then you laugh.
Once they get to the playoffs, they're not doing anything.
Yeah. It's a situation where you're watching them. You're watching them just from the background going, just wait. They're going to do something stupid. Just wait.
Here it comes.
Just wait.
And that whole five straight seasons of like nothing but number one overall picks still lingers in in the back of everyone's brains, and we're all bitter about it because that's ridiculous. So,
but I mean, look at the 5 straight overall picks, the first overall picks that they got. I mean, you're talking. There's some great names. RNH, good player, fantastic for them. But like you start getting into Nail, not Yakupov, who the only reason he was picked is because he played video games with the older son, is fucking hysterical. And just there's so many good things. Like the injured reserve, Clefbaum's there, and he's going to come back eventually. He's another $4 million on the cap. Mike Smith is on injured reserve because he just didn't want to retire. They traded to get Duncan Keith, and he retires because he just can't hack it anymore. And there's a lot of funny stuff with this team, and it is comedy. It's not quite the Philadelphia Flyers comedy. It's a different sort of comedy where you're so Canadian enamored comedy with what these two players can do and watching them, and then all of a sudden you just see the rest of the team falter around them, and you do feel bad for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. I mean, they're getting paid, so you can't really complain. They can't really complain too much, but. If they could ever get out of there. Yeah, they really need to get out of there. Now, let's talk about another team that had a different sort of pain this offseason, the Calgary Flames. They finished number 1 in the Pacific Division, 111 points. They were a wagon. Johnny Gaudreau was an MVP candidate, and the Flames were off and running. They had a bad playoff against the Oilers where, they kind of faltered, and that series was kind of crazy. But then the damage starts to happen. Johnny Gaudreau, doesn't ghost him, but he leaves for Carolina, Columbus Blue Jackets. And then all of a sudden Matthew Tkachuk's like, F this, I'm out of here. He didn't, want to resign. He's an RFA, and they just trades him to Florida. It's what they got back from Florida that was so crazy, and getting Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar. They actually subtract salary overall from that move, from the Huberdeau and Weegar move for Gaudreau and for Tkachuk. But it's that next signing they add where they get, Nazem Kadri to come in, and it looks like they just shuffled the deck and they're going right back at it. You got Blake Coleman and Mangiapane, who had the 35 goals last year. You have Tyler Toffoli, who was a great offseason acquisition. Elias Lindholm's still that number 1 center. And he had a quiet season with 82 points, and he was a big reason why they were so good. Mikael Backlund as their third-line center. He was very defensively responsible. You look at Noah Hannafin, who had a really good year, kind of came out of nowhere. Same thing with Rasmus Andersson. That was their top pair. They bring in Mackenzie Weegar, who they're going to try to re-sign. Chris Tanev and Oliver Shillington and Nikita Zadorov. Their goaltending, I mean, Jacob Markstrom was awesome last year. He was in the Vezina conversation at 2.22 goals against. Dan Vladar was that other half, and he played great for them. This team, despite what happened to them, props to their GM for kind of turning nothing into something. And, they're going to come right back at it. And for me, is this the division winner for you guys? And can they contend for a cup?
I think they can contend to come out of the West. I think for sure. I think that they can potentially come out of the West.
That's crazy.
I think still
that's crazy to say. losing Gaudreau and Kachuk, and we're still talking
Kachuk,
about this possibly
Yeah.
winning the division. That's nuts. That's really actually that's like a testament, I guess, to their
Brad
GM and
was great
team. That's really imagine like you're losing like your top two players. Like Pittsburgh loses like Sid and Gino in the same offseason. Tampa loses like Kucherov and Stamkos or something like that in the same offseason. That's freaking. Yeah. And
well, I mean, Gaudreau left for
teams.
nothing, and that's something. Gaudreau leaving for nothing, you thought they wouldn't be able to recover from, and then losing Kachuk, but then getting those two back, it was like, okay, who's going to actually win this trade? Because I think Kachuk is a unicorn in the league. There's just nobody really like him, so it definitely still hurts. But you're getting Huberdeau back, and Huberdeau is offensively just as talented. Yeah, and improving on defense with Mackenzie Weegar coming over as well, because he's a great top pairing defenseman. And then you get Nazem Kadri, who can kind of fill a complementary role there. So I don't know that they could be better than they were last year. I think it's definitely a possibility because they're structured differently. I don't know that they have made up as far as skill, but potentially chemistry and the right fit for a full team game. Those players might fit in better. So, and with Daryl Sutter with this defensive system and still having those elite forwards who can produce offensively, I don't know. I think they should win the division, and I honestly think that they have a real shot to come out of the West.
I think you should put the kibosh on their team right now and predict that they're going to win the Stanley Cup.
No, I'm not going to predict anybody to win the Stanley Cup anymore. I'm just not doing that. It's not going to do
it. We're gonna do it on in 2 weeks from now. But yeah, we'll hold on. All right. So
way too early Stanley Cup picks.
Yeah,
I think I did pick Colorado last year. Let's go back to the tape.
Did you?
Well, I'll take a look. I have the tapes. Yeah, I'll find them. I'll find that before next week's show, and we'll just go over it real fast.
I hope I did at least.
Laugh at who picked what. And we'll do MVPs and stuff too, because that'd be even funnier. Okay, so Pacific Division. I guess your division winners would be Calgary or Oilers. I would probably say for me, it's
Calgary.
Oilers. Okay.
I'll pick Calgary.
I want to pick Calgary, but I'll probably go Edmonton.
And then your last place team in this division, you think it's between probably San Jose, Anaheim, and Seattle. Who would you take? Probably Seattle?
I want to say San Jose.
Ooh, I was thinking San Jose also, actually.
San Jose is really bad.
Yeah, but
really bad.
They still have the better talent overall with Couture.
They sort of do.
Timo Meyer and those guys.
So yeah, but Couture is not going to be healthy.
Seattle figures it out a little bit this year after their first season. They can kind of like, okay, now we played together for a full season. Maybe we'll have a little bit. I don't think I'm not saying they're going to be good by any stretch, but
yeah, we're talking about who's going to not be the worst team.
I know. So Seattle and San Jose, and I don't know. I think San Jose would be worse.
That's what I'm saying. I think San Jose is in the bottom.
Yeah. Just quick notes before we head out. Couturier sideline with what?
I got scratched. I'm sorry.
Oh. A couple quick notes. Couturier sideline with another injury. He's out for a while. Virtanen signed with the Oilers. Nathan McKinnon's close on the extension. And then the NHL is going to do the World Cup play in 2024. I think Tyler Mott also got a 1-year contract with the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, he went somewhere. I don't remember what it went.
Yeah, Senators. So good for them. I like Tyler Mott. He's, good defensive player. So, you guys got anything else before we head out?
No, I don't have anything.
My beer rankings: Modest Brewing, 4.5, very good.
Whoa,
4.5.
Yeah,
my goodness,
that's good beer.
Mine's a 4.
Even though it's
delicious.
4?
2 years old, I still give it a 4.5.
Oh yeah,
cannoli.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna go 4 also. Thank you, Brett.
4. Wow, Brett will be proud.
All right, Shrim, take her home, bud.
All right, so let's start the John Tortorella Fest early. I found a decent, not a great quote, but a decent quote. So they asked him about, he's getting back to coaching again after taking a year off. He wants to hold the whistle again after doing in-studio color commentary. His quote after that was, "And now I get to coach this damn team, the Flyers."
Why is that?